Welcome to Up PERIDOT TV. Breaking news: the authority of ECOWAS head of states and government on Saturday adopted ECO as the name of the single currency to be issued in January 2020 at their 55th ordinary session in Abuja. If you're just joining in, kindly take a moment to subscribe, tap on that notification icon bell below so you can be notified whenever videos are uploaded. Some of you might be conversant with ECOWAS. If you check your international passport, you see the word ECOWAS there. This simply means that you can travel to and live in the west of Africa without needing any visa or resident permit. That is what that simply means. There are countries that are part of this ECOWAS, and these are simply Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and Ghana. These are the countries that you can actually travel to in Africa without having to get a visa or even a resident permit when you arrive there. You can actually live there for free, and all of these people can also live in Nigeria for free. If I'm correct about the duration, I don't know. Now, this one currency has been pushed for a long time. As you guys would remember, if you are conversant with the happenings in Africa, the head of state, and I'm talking about Gaddafi, that was ousted out, murdered by the Western power, was actually proposing one currency for Africa, but and he also said that they could balance everything in gold. That means the Western world, when trading with Africa, they will do it in gold, and that's a topic for another day. Anyway, that never saw the light of the day as it was wiped out, and we've not seen any African leader that is ready to take up that mantle. But West Africa is a portion of Africa, as you have the north, east, west, south, and the central. So here is West Africa trying to move forward by adopting this one single currency. Now, some have mixed opinions, and they are like, why would Nigeria be part of this smaller nation? Gambia, the currency is nothing. The population there is a little. They are not much. And Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the rest of this country, if we all join together and have a single currency, our economy will be one economy. So where will the giant of Africa, Nigeria being the giant of African thing, be? But then I'm kind of looking at it like the same way the EU is, where you have Germany, France as a top dog. That is the same way Nigeria will be to the rest of this nation, because there is no one among these countries I've called: Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Benin, Togo, Ghana, that can actually match Nigeria when it comes to economy. So Nigeria will actually be, of course, the leadership will be rotated amongst all of these countries, but then I think economically this might be possible, viable, or probably productive. I mean, it might move the rest of these African countries to the best of the best. But then probably this is also going to bring about integration. As you see, Nigeria, Ghana, there is always this Ghana looking at Nigeria, and they are kind of having probably so low self-esteem, or rather, I don't know, there is always something about Ghanaians and Nigeria. But most of the time you see them being a little bit not comfortable with Nigerians, and it's not because the Nigerians are bullies, but they see Nigerians as a threat to them. So do you think this one currency is going to actually work, or you think the startup of this currency might actually not survive for a year? Now, when you look at this map that you see right there, you will see colors. Now, this color here is the ECO proposed, and that's Nigeria, Ghana, Guinea. These are the proposed ECO, and this is a map far back then. This one is UEMOA, ECO from 2020. They are going to be part of the ECO. This is Mali, Senegal, Niger, and they have CIMAC, and that's Chad. They have a different currency. EAC proposed. They have a different currency that they might have to. That is Kenya and Tanzania also having one currency, and soon probably they'll be able to merge together, and they will have one single currency. Hopefully, the news agency that reported said the leadership of ECOWAS endorsed the name while congratulating the ministerial committee on the single currency for the considerable progress recorded in the implementation of the revised roadmap. In the communique read by Mr. Mustafa Suleiman, Nigeria's permanent secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the authority instructed the ECOWAS Commission to work in collaboration with West African Monetary Agency. It further directs the Commission to ensure implementation of the recommendations of the meeting of the Ministerial Committee held in Abidjan on June 18, as well as preparation and implementation of the communication strategy for the single currency program. The authority takes note of the 2018 macroeconomic convergence report. It noted the worsening of the macroeconomic convergence and urges member states to do more to improve on their performance in view of the imminent deadline. Now, this simply means that each of these countries that are going to be part of this single currency, ECO, need to work on their own macroeconomy. Now, what does macroeconomy mean? Macroeconomy is actually that economy that reflects in the life of an average person. Now in Nigeria, you hear people saying that economy is not okay, I'm not all right, things are not okay, we are not. That's because the macroeconomy is not actually felt. Not that things are not happening. Roads are being built, structures are being put in place, but then Nigerians are not feeling the effect. That is why they claim that things are not okay. So they urge that countries should work on their macroeconomies, build up yourself, build up your people, so everybody will be comfortable. At least for people to have one currency, there is a standard that needs to be achieved. Probably, I don't know if they sat down to look at this deep. They need to have a standard payment, not necessarily the same amount, but at least an amount of money that will be comfortable for you to spend. I'm talking about expense. Now, the cost of living in countries are not the same. Even presently, all these countries are part of the West African ECOWAS association. The cost of living is not the same in this country. So, and I'm thinking now, if this currency becomes one, there is still going to there should be some rules and regulations, and these rules should ensure that the cost of living in countries is quite convenient and comfortable for the people living in that country, so they can live. Now we are talking of minimum wage being raised in Nigeria, and they say 30. That is not living wage. That is not even enough to take care of people's needs. So if we have one currency, is it going to weaken the economy or strengthen it? Let's look at a case study of EU. They use euros, while some, being part of the same association, still hold on to their own currency. And there are certain rules and regulations as regards the monetary. They have some monetary policies, and each of the member states have a specific minimum wage that is at least manageable for the citizens of that country to live life without having to kind of kill yourself or struggle too much like that. That doesn't mean they have the same salary or wages, because like I said, all countries do not have the same cost of living. I mean, the amount that you spend, probably you want to buy a loaf of bread, the amount that loaf of bread costs in Senegal, even with the same currency, the echo will not be the same in Nigeria. But then a Senegalese should be able to afford that loaf of bread, without having to resort into stealing or actually selling their harm. You know what I mean? To be able to do this, that means they don't have to go through thick and thin to be able to afford that loaf of bread, because there is a unitary currency. That is what they are saying here, that they urged member states to do more to improve on their performance in view of the imminent deadline. The reports also stated that ECOWAS Chairman President Issoufou Muhammadu noted that the revised roadmap was still stipulated that the single currency will be issued in January 2020. So guys, be ready, waiting for ECO as the West African currency 2020. But then I don't know if the national currencies will be still used, such as Naira, or ECO will be the currency that will be used. But I think this is a great development anyway. And I'm looking at these francophone countries like Cameroon and the rest of them that are francophone. Of course, Benin Republic is also a francophone country. Togo, meaning that they were colonized by the French. And the stories we hear is that France is in charge of printing, minting, production, control of the currency of these French countries, as they still use the same old colonial currency, CFA. They are the ones that have not kind of moved away from this colonial colonialism that is still in effect at the moment. They are underneath, they are like a slave underneath, economic slave, and sometimes they still retain that slave title because they feel they are probably enjoying some incentives from the French masters. So that is it. So I hope the Africans can come together, but first they need to put things in order in their own nation first, then one unitary currency, because we need to talk about rule of law here too. The rule of law has to be equal. Then we move to currency. That is my own opinion about this. And President Sofo, chairman president of ECOWAS, said that we are of the view that countries that are ready will launch a single currency, and countries that are not yet ready will join the program as they comply with all 6 convergence criteria. And that's very important. There should be criteria for joining this. So hopefully this will kind of be more productive and add value to the citizens in West Africa, and maybe the rest of the African countries will see this and also take a cue and begin to kind of implement the same one currency. Probably this will revive economy in Africa and also make us less dependent on foreign currency. And now we can trade on forex, on foreign exchange. We can trade ECO as a unified single currency in Africa with dollars, pounds, euros, yen, and the likes of them. Probably this is going to make the economy stronger, and then we'll think of production and a lot of things will come in place. That is my own, and I think I'm seeing a future here. Now there are criteria, like I said, for the ECO to be implemented. 10 convergence criteria set out by the West African Monetary Institute, WAMI, WAMI, must be met. These criteria are divided into 4 primary and secondary criteria up to the fiscal year 2011. Only Ghana had been able to meet all the primary criteria in a single fiscal year as at that time. The 4 primary criteria to be achieved by each member country are a single digit inflation rate at the end of each year, a fiscal deficit of no more than 4% of the GDP, a central bank deficit financing of no more than 10% of the previous year tax revenues, gross external reserves that can give import cover for a minimum of 3 months. The 6 secondary criteria to be achieved by each member countries are prohibition of new domestic default payments and liquidation of existing ones. Tax revenue should be equal to or greater than 20% of the GDP. Wage bill to tax revenue equal to or less than 35%. Public investment to tax revenue equal to or greater than 20%. A stable real exchange rate, a positive real interest rate. And now that's a lot of criteria, and I think a country that is ready to be part of this or ready to move forward should and will do this. So, well, let's see how this turns out to be. Let's see what will become of this. If Africa is going to stand as one, and this currency is going to emerge, but then they've announced it, and they said countries that are ready are going to come up with this 2020 January. Expect the new currency called ECO. And yeah, we know Nigeria is supposed to be the giant of Africa. I don't know if they are skeptical about this, but then they are on the forefront of this. This was announced in Abuja, and of course this will actually be issued January 2020. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And may I remind you once again to kindly subscribe. Take a moment to tap on that red notification icon bell so you can be notified whenever videos are uploaded. Thanks for stopping by.